Welcome once again to Living in the 21st Century. Joining me today is Vasil Shevchenko, former Transportation Minister of Ukraine. Vasil, it's always a pleasure to have you on board.
Thank you for your invitation. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
We have to keep the public up to date as to what's going on in the Ukraine.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to ask you this question to get started. Recently, the Speaker of the House here in the United States had been released off his responsibilities, and so far they're not one right now. This can pause or bring about a delay of funding to the Ukraine simply because we need to have a leader in the House to sign over those responsibilities to the president to pass. Do you got any ideas as to if the Ukraine is under any pressure right now for financial support or even military support given from the United States of America?
Thank you. It's really important questions, and I think that I will not be able to answer better than it was done by United States President Joseph Biden, who in his speech commented that it's a battle for the future. And he commented that it's funding for defending developed world values. And we know that we are fighting for Ukraine's interests, for Ukraine, and we are fighting for our partners because we provided our partners ammunition to wage this really cruel war. And I'd say that there were important things we can discuss. First of all, he commented that it's funding for peace, and it's sending weapons which are sending to Ukraine from United States stockpiles. And this ammunition will be renewed from United States industry and will help to establish peace in European countries, because we know that that if Ukraine fallen, next will be Poland, and then will be Baltic countries, and then will appear big threat for European Union, because we know that United States is leading company in NATO bloc, and mostly this bloc defends European Union interests. And we know that it can be really serious collapse in the world, and will suffer all countries and will dominate autocracy around the world. And I think that he commented that this kind of person who tried to stop funding Ukraine, to stop funding United States domestic budget in their private interest. I'd say that this interest will not help to develop to defend country and to provide development. And I think it will be in favor of autocratic countries. First of all, it's China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, and countries who's trying to be their allies. And we can see that they are storming Israel, that they are storming Ukraine because 2 days ago took place Russia's president visit to China, and they were socializing about so-called initiative One Belt, One Road, and its initiative was based at building infrastructure project, so-called. But I think that Russia's president was surprised because he cannot achieve any results in war in Ukraine. And I think that they ordered to storm Ukraine troops, and they again during 4 days were storming Ukraine's regional city Avdiivka. It's a couple dozens kilometers from Donetsk, occupied by Russians. And during this time, thanks our Western partners, thanks United States, Ukraine forces managed to eliminate 200 Russia's military vehicles and tanks. And it was 1,000 Russian soldiers who were killed at the battle line because they were storming Ukrainian troops with only willing to demonstrate that they can capture city. But they managed to move and to capture during these days using 10,000 soldiers, maybe a couple of square kilometers. And they wanted to create. They are fighting against different countries in media, for example. And maybe for this media project, they needed to have pictures with their victory, but they haven't received. And at the same time, Ukraine lost our heroes too, but we are fighting more effectively, and number Ukraine soldiers really
Okay.
really
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. I want to ask you this question: do you think that the support that the United States is giving presently to Israel, if this consistently go on for a long time, do you think that may have some form of your Ukraine getting its full support like it normally would? Do you think it may be a little bit of attention given more to Israel opposed to Ukraine, or you think it would remain?
But I think that Israel before did want to communicate with Ukraine, and didn't want to be involved in Ukraine's defense system and defense union. And you know that Ukraine's president is Jew. And he addressed to them, and they refused him with support, because we know that history of Israel was based at the cooperation with different countries, and lately they were involved in conflict in Syria, and wanted to hold an official agreement concerning providing aircrafts from Russia Federation to Iran, and cooperation with the Russia Federation about not supplying fighter jets, Russia's fighter jets to Iran, just to avoid threat from Iran. It's one point. And I think that current Prime Minister of Israel had the experience with cooperation with the Russia Federation, and he hoped that he would manage to agree with them. And now I heard experts from Israel, and they were criticizing Israel power for attempt to cooperate with the Russia Federation and about weakening Israel defense system. And we know that Israel was attacked. The same tactics are being used in Ukraine, and against them were used drones. Against them were used long, short range artillery and missiles. And it isn't really the same type of missiles are launching for Ukraine by Russian Federation, but number of these missiles was really awful, and it managed them to break through Israel's defense system. And them we know that they are experienced in in spreading information, and it's type of propaganda, because Russia doesn't have any independent media, and they are spreading lie, or we can name it propaganda. And the same tactics was used just after dozens of minutes storming Israel's by terrorist organization. And them, I think that they were interested to further development this conflict. They were waiting Israel's troops storming, just to demonstrate pictures from Gaza City when Israel's troops are storming residential houses with citizens. And because of it, United States President Joseph Biden called on Israeli authorities not to storm immediately, just to analyze, because it could be next mistake, because we see that Israeli troops didn't storm it immediately and received advantages, and we saw that terrorist organization tried to launch missiles, exploded hospital, and tried to blame in its catastrophe authorities of Israel. It's the same tactics are being used in Ukraine, but Ukraine isn't isn't highly developed just to have opportunity to spread information similar, for example, with Israel, because we are studying how to wage this war, and we have received a lot of experience from this combat events in different sphere, and because of it we maybe isn't highly effective in it, just to have forces to prevent Russia's propaganda. But thanks international media, which are now in Ukraine, and world can see current events in Ukraine, and it's first war in the world when people can see most events in online broadcasting. You cannot hit any events, because it will be immediately demonstrated in different at the different platforms, media platforms. And because of it, this conflict are connected, and I'm afraid that we can have once more conflict or another conflict just to distract attention from Ukraine, and then to distract attention from Israel, just to provoke Western countries. And because of it, threat around the world is really higher, and because of it, United States president's opinion is really important. He is really clever. He is experienced person, and he says. By his heart, because he knows a lot about it. And now I'd commented that the way that now there are a lot of challenges, and
Yes.
only from our relation will depends on our future.
Yes.
And
And what,
because of it, it's important to defeat and to demonstrate that we are together, that we will defeat, and we are sure that we will do it.
Absolutely. I want to ask you this question. Since Ukraine launched its offensive, were they successful? Were the military successful in retrieving any landmass that or cities that Russia would have captured at this point?
I'd say that Ukraine tried to storm enemy's troops, Russian troops, which occupied our territory. But it appeared that they, for this time, they managed to build really heavy fortification and really mined fields around their positions, and they built few defense lines and changed their tactics at the battle line, because we know that every war has own tactics and built tactics only for this war, and this tactic demonstrated that when Ukraine, after receiving from Western partners tanks and military vehicles, tried to storm, but we were lack of air defense forces, which didn't allow us to defend sky from enemies aircrafts and helicopters, and from helicopters were eliminated, better to say damaged, Western tanks and carriers. And Ukraine's forces changed tactics and started fighting with small armed soldiers groups penetrating this position and to capture enemy's trenches and eliminating enemies this way. It's extremely difficult, and because of it, really important to have aircrafts which would allow us with equipment which would allow us to hold Russia's aircrafts, Russia's fighter jets and helicopters for distance they are not able to shell Ukraine's position from aircrafts. Because, for example, they are using half-ton bombs and the 1.5-ton bombs, and it's a big danger for Ukraine forces, because their aircrafts and helicopters are launching these bombs from distance 40 or 30 kilometers. It's far from our air defense systems opportunities to intercept or to prevent them. And lately, just after receiving 20 missiles attacks, Ukraine's forces managed to eliminate 15 Russia's helicopters, one air defense system, which were based at the occupied Ukraine's territory, and it was a runway which allows them to serve aircraft and bombing this position. And now they are playing games, and they demonstrated that they have opportunity to remove so-called Russia's fighter jets, which has aeroballistic missiles, which is threat isn't for Ukraine, because we because we have experience and we know how to fight with them. But sometimes it's quite difficult. But it's threat for our partners, because you know that during this time, Ukraine forces, without Ukraine's fleet, managed to eliminate 20 Russian warships, and was eliminated one submarine. And it means that Ukraine's made stake at the drones, water's surface moving, and underwater drones managed to eliminate and to break through Russia's seaport. And this way, Ukraine forces managed to defeat Russia's fleet, and they have to withdraw it from Ukraine's occupied by Russians peninsula, Crimea. And now Ukraine forces holding this way, but threats from the sky exist. And because of it, we are in negotiations with our partners in Ramstein meeting. We are in communication with United States officials, as far as I know, because we lack this type of missiles just to provide new offensive operations. And we know that according to the United States President's opinion, Ukraine's forces are fighting effectively. And we need only weapon, because we have been waging war with the Russian Federation since 2014. Next year will be 10 years Ukraine is waging war, and we are waging war with nuclear weapon owns country with 12 times more GDP, and country which was influential countries, and who commented that they had second biggest army in the world. But it appears that Ukraine's forces are effectively eliminating second biggest army in the world. And it means that Ukraine's army is effective. Only type of weapons will allow us to have new success at the battle line. And because of it, this communication really heavy. And we know that our enemies are launching different lie about Ukraine, and they are spreading our domestic problems. To be honest, we have a lot of domestic problems, because we want to be European Union members. We want to develop our country. We want to avoid Russian influence. We have a lot of challenges, and exactly this way we have a lot of people who's playing games at it, and who wants sometimes to have profit at it. But this way we are catching up really fast, and we are moving really fast, and it's
Beautiful.
main idea.
Beautiful.
Yes, and
Well,
because of I think that Ukraine's and
yeah. Well.
and United States will have good opportunity to have this kind of friend.
Well, thank you so much. Well, Vasil, we
And,
come to the end. We come to the end of the program. So I wanted to say thank you so much
yes,
for coming on again and updating us as to what's going on in the Ukraine. We will look forward to seeing each other again pretty soon. Take
yes,
good
thank
care.
you, thank you.
Enjoy.
As usual,
Sure.
taking picture.
Sure.
Thank you, thank you.